5 common questions and myths about Suboxone that we need to talk about. The last 2, the biggest ones. Let's go. K-Rugs, the Soberdog, coming at ya. Before I get into it, I want to thank Bill McCutcheon, our newest patron on Patreon. Thank you so much, Bill. Thank you all the patrons. And remember, Soberdogs does not promote or condone any drug use. These videos are for educational, informative, and entertainment purposes only. Please seek professional medical help if you have an addiction. Question myth number 1 about Suboxone. Suboxone should only be taken short term. Back in, the first time I got put on Suboxone was about 2010 or 2011, and there was a lot of, it wasn't well known how it worked. People, addiction doctors had to be certified for it. So there was a lot of short-term use of it and also a lot of abruptly cutting people off. You'd get put on it if you failed one drug test or anything going on, they cut you right off, which is a terrible idea because, of course, what am I going to do if you cut me off the Suboxone, which has terrible withdrawal? I'm going to go right out and buy dope. They had different mentalities. A lot of doctors have different, theories on this, but there is no research to back up that Suboxone should only be used short term. There's a lot more doctors and researchers coming out now saying, just like diabetes meds, blood pressure meds, whatever, insulin for diabetes, if you had a chronic disease or illness that you got to take a med long term, great, Suboxone's put in that category. So there is no valid research saying it should only be used short term. Question myth number 2, Suboxone by itself isn't a treatment. Suboxone by itself can be a tool, can help, is a great start, is a great step in a person's recovery. But it is not a recovery program. What I've seen in about 5+ years of recovery, working with and seeing literally thousands of other addicts, Suboxone by itself will not work in 99% of cases. Somebody who's using dope 10 years, 5 years, whatever, if they go to their doctor, get put on Suboxone, they want to get clean, they're ready to get clean, get put on it, and that's it. Just, okay, yesterday I got high, today I take Suboxone, and everything about life stays the same. It's not going to work. We got to get to the core of the addiction. Why are we using? We got to build that self-esteem back up. We got to build our internal and external circumstances, repairing family relationships, repairing our own self-love relationships. All that stuff comes from recovery programs, therapy, outpatient, inpatient. We got to build our physical health, fitness, things like that, diet. So simply just being put on Suboxone is not the answer. It's a great tool accompanied with recovery, in my opinion. And this is true with almost any medication. If somebody goes to the doctor with high blood pressure, the doctor's not like, just take this, bye, everything's cured tomorrow. No, it's, we're going to give you this to help lower the blood pressure. Also, we recommend, exercise, diet, doing different things to lower your certain foods, lower your blood, medication is a help, but it is not a cure-all. It can be accompanied in a tool. Myth number 3, it's easy to overdose on Suboxone. Actually, it's very hard to overdose on Suboxone. Now, I know some of you saw the video I put up a couple weeks ago about what would happen if somebody with no tolerance takes Suboxone, and then if you watch the video, they get violently ill for a long period of time, like 24 to 36 hours, pretty much, even a tiny little piece. With that being said, that's somebody with no tolerance, it's very hard to overdose on Suboxone. The reason why is 2 things. Number 1, it has a ceiling effect. So after 24 milligrams, there's no more effect. If you take 24 milligrams or 50 milligrams, the effect is pretty much the same thing. That's what it caps off at the brain. On top of that, Suboxone is not a full opioid agonist. It's only a partial agonist. So it's even harder to OD on it than a full opioid, morphine, oxycodone, those things. Put those 2 into effect, it's actually not easy at all to overdose on Suboxone. Again, if a child, somebody with no tolerance, a pet gets into it, please call your poison control, the doctor, emergency, because it can be dangerous, but the positive thing is it's not easy to overdose. The last 2, the big ones. Number 4, if you're on Suboxone, you're not sober. This is a big one, back and forth. This is a constant argument on social media. It's a constant argument with a lot of different recovery people. I am a firm believer in, if you are on Suboxone, taking it the right way, you're sober. You're in recovery. That's your path. Taking it the right way would be the huge part of that statement. For people like myself, when I was on it in 2011, I would take it. And then, you know, the days I had money, I'd get high. And then if I didn't have money, I would take the Suboxone to get rid of withdrawal. Taking it that way, no, I was not sober. I was not doing the right thing. And people taking it that way are using it as a bridge, as a crutch, not doing the right way. But if you're taking it as prescribed, not for an effect, not for a high, accompanied with the recovery program, I would 1000% say you are sober and in recovery. And anyone that's going to yell at you and tell you otherwise, maybe they're not the best person to have in your life for recovery. That's how I would look at it. People are going to judge me on something that, you know, hey, it was heroin or Suboxone at the time. I'll choose the Suboxone with some criticism all day long over the heroin, and I'm going to be dead very shortly, miserable. And number 5, the biggest one to me, most people that are on Suboxone are abusing it. That is a huge myth. The reason why a lot of us, myself included, had that perception for a long time, up until recently I actually had that perception, and I got to give Recovery Coach University a shout out. They brought this to my attention when I was doing some of the training, and I've been doing a lot of research on this the last couple months. We only hear about the bad cases. We only hear about the abuse and the negative cases. That's why most people have the perception that people on Suboxone are abusing it. Our cousin who struggles with addiction, we hear about, oh, he got put on Suboxone. Oh, well, he's relapsed a dozen times. He's abusing it. The girl in the newspaper who got caught selling it. The dealers down the street who sell Suboxone, and the people who take it here and there and use it to get high. That's what we hear about. That's what's in the news. That's what people gossip about. That's what we hear about. We don't hear about the people sitting right in our office at work with us, taking Suboxone every morning, that have been doing it for 6 years, that we would never know about. We don't hear about the guy walking his dog on the street that takes Suboxone every day and has got a great productive life. He's not wearing a sign that says, I take Suboxone every morning. Just like we wouldn't know who's on blood pressure meds or who's on, you know, even painkillers. So we only hear about the negative. Meanwhile, there's thousands, if not maybe millions of people on it properly, rebuilding their life, doing the right thing, that don't advertise it. So in actuality, most people on Suboxone are not abusing it. We just don't hear about it. Just like the news. What do we hear about with the news? Top of the hour, first stories, car crash, stabbing, shooting, political turmoil, sexual assault, all the arguments. Last 2 minutes, a positive case. This charity did that. This, vet walked again. Only the last 2 minutes. But they want to fill it with the negativity first because that's what people attract to. So those are 5 common myths and questions about Suboxone we had to talk about. Check out the other video on what happens if you take it with no tolerance. All right, K. Ruggs, the Soberdog, and I'm out. See ya.